So we stand in front of Dollar Tree and basically,
such as this thing here.
all right, I'm excited to have a guest.
A piece of metal right here, of course. Everyone is.
Cuba is like they're under a dictator. RTD Live Talk, Detroit's #1 late night YouTube talk show. We are live for a Monday edition of the People's Talk Show. Looking forward to connecting and finding out what's been going on, what's on your radar. And as always, there's lots of subjects out there worth touching on, and definitely want to hear from you guys. So, as always, want to make sure I welcome any first-time viewers to the community. Welcome, and let me know where you're watching from in the chat, and hopefully the algorithms notify a few more people so everyone can chime in and just let some steam off their chest if that's what you guys want to do. But yeah, it's been a couple of days since we last connected for a live stream, and so this past weekend for myself, well, last couple of days rather, just decided to unplug from the news. Haven't been following much of the stories like I typically do. Trying to, I guess, relax a little bit for this current Christmas season, especially head into the new year. Want to do some things different on my end and stop focusing more on the doom and gloom and just, focus on things that give me energy. And so definitely looking forward to talking to you guys about that as we move forward in the days ahead. But it is a people's talk show, and it's not much of a talk show unless you have someone to talk to. And so that's why I'm looking forward to speaking directly to you guys and seeing what's going on. And before I move forward, I think just today, just combing the airways last couple of minutes, I grabbed a couple of stories, but nothing really that, interests me overall, just some things that, might be of, worth mentioning. But I want to find out what you guys are keeping an eye on, whether it be monetary related, political, issues, social issues, you name it. Might just open up the phone lines and we'll just have a little back and forth up front rather than getting into the news stories and just shake it up a little bit different this week, see how it goes. Before I move forward, let me just make sure I remind those who might perhaps be new. If you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button along with that bell notification. Hopefully you guys are notified. And over the last several weeks, I just noticed on my back end here, less and less people are being notified, and therefore viewership is down substantially. So we'll see how it goes out, how it plays out into the new year. But once again, it's one of the things where it's very discouraging when you're trying to reach people to help people think outside the box. But then again, when you're on a platform that's not necessarily yours, it's only so far you can go. But I'll keep plugging along as best I can until I'm not. Okay, what else we got going on here? I want to encourage you also, links in the description. I do happen to share articles and things like that on the Telegram and Twitter, as well as some of the social media platforms. So if you guys want to stay plugged in, that'd be a good way to do it. All right, man. Let me so I have, let me see, about a couple stories that are on my side here, but I'll check in with the chat and then I'll probably just open the phone lines and we'll see where it takes us this evening and go from there. I see some thoughts out there. We got Barlight Broker checking in. Appreciate you, man. Ed, Jesus is King. What else we got here? Ronald checking in as well. Rich Mountains says Russia's Federal Mint in Gaznak has perfected replicating the gold U.S. double eagle, according to FT News. Perfected replicating. And so unless they actually have the chemical composition down to the T, then of course it's more of a fake, not worth really diving too deep down, other than just be careful and watch out for these fakes. But why would they go only for the gold U.S. double eagle if it was so perfect? But once again, I'll try to check into that as well and see what's happening with that. We got Kenneth checking in. Dr. Moda, stock up on food and water, says predictions for 2023. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't mind sharing my 2 cents on that. One of the things I anticipate happening is based upon the current trajectory with the central banks collectively trying to squeeze and choke off the global economy in the efforts to fight inflation. They're ultimately drying up the spigot or the whale, as I always say. So therefore, heading into 2023, the framework has already been set for more economic and financial hardship for the working class, unfortunately. And so I'd imagine as businesses are less profitable due to consumption possibly going down. Discretionary spending not as high as it used to be. There's no stimulus checks in sight. Therefore, people are going to have to choose between priorities and just the bare luxuries of life that we've been able to have and afford due to credit. And so more people living on credit cards, less people saving. And so it's going to boil down to basically just, people only being willing to purchase things they actually need to survive and to thrive, which means all the other stuff will be out the window. Therefore, that's going to cause a lot of hardship in our economy. And I can especially speak around the Metro Detroit area. Over the last several years, there's been more like bistros, eateries, and all types of restaurants, all with the same menu, just popping up all throughout the main metropolitan area, unnecessary places. So they're going to be closing, therefore more unemployment, and you guys know where this is heading. So this is all subject to the Federal Reserve and other central banks doing this intentionally to cause as much distress in the economy to usher in their plan. So I see more headache, more pain in the upcoming months. And of course, right now, it looks like this whole weather situation is going to be something that might kick off this new year when it comes to the whole crunch on energy or whatnot. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's just a little snippet of what I think is yet to come. But then again, that's what they're intentionally doing. It doesn't mean that it's going to impact everyone the same way. Everybody will be impacted differently, of course. So it's just the average person who's not awake and aware. They'll probably be more in a pinch than the average person. So long-winded answer, but that's just a little something. But everything is intentional, of course. Dr. Moto says global war in January will kick off, according to Martin Armstrong and Nina, calling it for summer. Anything's probable as far as how and how long and the extent, because I don't know if it'd be a kinetic war or just some boots on the ground here and there. And we've seen missile movements with the whole situation we're in Ukraine. And if the U.S. decide to send that Patriot missile system out to Ukraine, Putin has already pretty much said that's a no-go. So that's going to be some direct pushback in of itself. So that could be a problem. But of course, everything is intentional. Nothing is by accident. Chris, appreciate you, man. Says tuning in from Thailand, but from the UK. Don't know if you heard, but many insiders now saying all the immigrants coming in by sea in the UK are United Nations troops for the next phase. I was not aware of that, and I appreciate you for bringing that to our attention. If that is the case, it doesn't surprise me one bit, just because the UK, even in speaking with Mario the last couple of weeks, the UK's situation is a lot further along than a lot of other nations in the G7, G20 block. And so they're, the whole strike situation right now. So there might be some protests and unrest unfolding rather fast. So if that is a case of troops being snuck in there under the guise of immigrants rather, then that could be something we're going to hear about shortly. And that's why I think everything that will eventually play out will take place in Europe, as well as all the former British colonies, Australia, Canada, just because things seem to be a lot further along there. And also help us that we have the Federal Reserve note, aka the world reserve currency for now, which also puts us on the back burner for a lot of those activities. All right, what else we got here? Checking in. Appreciate you. We got Drickett checking in. Says we're getting ready for sub-zero temps. So yeah, I have seen some talk about that. Didn't dive too deep into it. And I actually saw a meteorologist. Let me put this on the screen real quick. Highlighting it or talking about it. Let me just pull this up here. And so let me share this. So yeah, so this is a meteorologist out in California. But just from what he said, let me try to zoom out so I can see it better. He said it's about to be one of the most extreme weeks of Christmas weather ever. An extreme Arctic blast will punish hundreds of millions of Americans from Washington to Florida with record-freezing temperatures. At the same time, a dangerous blizzard looks to hammer the Great Lakes. So the Great Lakes is what surrounds me. So it definitely, if this plays out the way that it's being scripted to, then it definitely will be a mighty cold winter. But one of the things that doesn't surprise me is that the northern parts of the EU, including the UK, are also experiencing what will be considered relatively extreme cold weather. And isn't it interesting how, on top of all the other climate narratives we're facing or being pushed on our throat, and of course, with all this past summer, extreme dry heat, fires, every basically fresh body of water in China and some places in the U.S. just drying up all of a sudden because of the extreme heat. That when the winter hit, I remember mentioning this several months ago, saying that just don't be surprised if it's an extremely cold winter. And if I could have probably, I'm not a gambling man or a betting man, but if I could have probably played that bet, I probably could have won a lot of currency off of that, just because it was quite obvious to me that this type of event, when you have the capabilities of being able to steer and control and manipulate atmospheric conditions, it wouldn't surprise me one bit. So, how will this play out? My guess would be that the states that have been the most have given the globalists / the operatives in DC the most pushback might end up being hit the hardest, i.e. Texas. And then just from this article here talking about extreme weather going down to Florida, they're still recovering from the hurricane. Haven't heard nothing about that. I'd assume it's probably recovery for that. The cost is probably definitely in the billions. Haven't heard nothing about it. It's water under the bridge. I wonder if insurance companies are actually paying out down there. We'll see. But so I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason Texas, Florida, as well as some of the Midwest states that are predominantly Republican in nature, they might end up being hit somewhat a little bit more harsh than the other states. That's just a suspicion I have. Let me know if you guys could kind of feel me on that one. What else? So that's just some things that caught my attention there that I'll touch on. Let me see here. So, Joshua says negative 25 Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit here in Alberta. And so I'm not familiar with the temperature. So 32 Fahrenheit, that's not too cold. And so let me know. I'm assuming Alberta probably gets colder than that. Okay, here's another topic here. Mike RTD says homeowners and forbearance programs that didn't modify their loans before rate went up 7% tsunami of bankruptcies. Homeowners in the forbearance that didn't modify their loans before rate went up 7% tsunami of bankruptcies. Who didn't modify before it went up. It's yes and no. I would have seen like it's still we're still in the short term of all this mortgage rate, this spike, and I think it's going to be a while to see how this plays out, and that's all predicated on people actually being able to maintain those mortgages, because some people might be in different positions of where they can sustain those type of payments longer than the average person. But then again, due to the economic crunch that's taking place and the uncertainty on employment, possibly there might be people who have to make some tough decisions on how they maneuver some things, which could lead to more issues with housing. But then again, this is all a part of a much more sinister plan that has been in works and is happening in every single country. So yeah. X says, Mike, question, your buddy George stated in a video Fed going bankrupt in a few weeks. Thoughts? Fed going bankrupt. So I saw George video title. I didn't get a chance to watch it. I don't really watch a lot of other of my colleagues just because it's, for the most part, it's all opinion based. Some people put little stats and facts with it, but other than that, it's more so opinion based. But George does a good job of covering a variety of subjects, especially, the Fed. But as far as them going bankrupt, I'm not quite sure how that'll play out. And I'm assuming he's probably talking about the fact that their balance sheet pretty much is underwater due to the increase in interest rates over the last year. But when you have an entity that has the backing of the government and every single paid and bought for a politician in DC, you can never really go bankrupt, because every single politician in DC ultimately turns to the Federal Reserve to try to fix the very same problems that they created. And so if there's even an idea of them going bankrupt, they'll just rewrite the rules of the game and reissue a new style of a currency, therefore providing all the liquidity that they could issue for the purposes and problems that they created. And of course, it's all going to be predicated on saving you and I, the average consumer, the investor, yada, yada. We need to provide help. They are the reasons for all these problems. So they can't go bankrupt when they can just issue another style of currency, i.e. the digital dollar. And so as far as purchasing power for the currency we have now, that's going to continue to depreciate over time just because there's nothing of substance in it other than our confidence and the fact the world still acknowledges it. So I don't see them going bankrupt. They'll just rewrite the rules of the game, issue something new. So that's just my 2 cents on that. But then again, anything's possible. Pay Me Money Bag says people sleep on how dangerous the Saudi king can be and the things he has influence on. Pay Me Money Bags. Definitely, I'm curious to get more insight as to what you're referring to there on as far as sleeping on the king there or the prince. I'm not sure. Is the king actually out and about doing all the shot calling? Just because I see more of the prince doing more of the meetings with Xi and everything like that. But as far as influence over the petrodollar system that's already been canceled, or what are you referring to? Let me know. Low blood pressure says Corpus Christi's 50. So 50 degrees right now. So yeah, I could definitely see another cold front coming through Texas, just based upon our little map there, the demonstration of where the weather might be heading towards. They're going to make sure that they send a nice little reminder to Abbott, to DeSantis, and everybody and the like that either presents a real genuine case of going against the grain when it comes to the World Economic Forum's agenda, or they're just going to send a little something through there just to remind them that they need to stick to the script, or it could get worse. Is nobody to the bankers? Saudi king is nobody to the bankers. I wouldn't say nobody. The bankers definitely run the entire world, just because currency makes the world go around, it seems these days. So the bankers have the final say so. But the Saudis and who they pledge their allegiance to in the next couple of months and years. So 2023 is another prediction of mine. 2023 will be the year that there will be an official announcement or a quasi announcement that'll be something that only the mainstream or alternative media will end up talking about the next preferred method of payment outright. So we have right now suspicions that Russia and Putin with the 1 gram of gold for 2 barrels of oil based upon Zoltar's thesis. And then we have the Saudi and China doing business for energy in the yuan on the Shanghai exchange. Okay, so those are 2 different plays that are at work. None of them are really focused on the dollar. They're all talking about how to get away from the dollar. And then we got the BRICS supposed currency mechanism that's being worked on as well. So those are 3 avenues that will continue to grow, will continue to get traction. We'll hear about it after the fact. But again, all 3 of those could ultimately meet up at some point with a single gateway into a new style of payment and preferred method for the rest of the world to combat the dollar coming up in 2023. It would be my guess. I could be wrong, but it just seems like everything is primed and right for that type of thing to happen. You got to ask the question. Why does the U.S. protect them Saudis, and why do they have so much control with their oil and can choose who they will trade with? Why does the U.S. protect? Oh yeah, so I mean, outside of the previous agreement with Kissinger 50 years ago, I think we've seen enough pushback from the prince, especially with his current administration, pretty much showing that protection / dependence on that petrodollar peg is no longer as strong as it used to be, just because Saudi has already signed up with Russia for military protection. That was last summer. We talked about that. And then we got just now with Saudi Arabia and China further advancing their strategic partnerships. And so between, I guess, probably the bilateral trade agreements they have, future currency swaps, and then also in the article I mentioned last week with President Xi meeting the prince, they're talking about working on a mutual or a interlinked digital currency of some kind. So that was also just one or two lines in that paragraph that I didn't hear many other people talk about that. So they're working on some things. So therefore, everything is all fine and good until it's not. And when it's not, that's when stuff will get real bad. It'll be obvious. Then that'll probably be the next event that will lead to the next phase of this global distraction. So the Ukraine, Russia is just was used. The Ukraine Russia proxy war is just a catalyst, I believe, to introduce the concept of gold, oil, and to really push all these trades that's taking place now amongst the BRICS nations and everything else to lead us to that next event. That's just my thesis. I could be wrong, but I would assume that could be the case. So James says petro ruble. Yeah, it's going to be petro something else, but definitely I would assume at some point gold will have to be a part of that equation because gold is a neutralizer. Gold is just it's in and of itself is just it's set up to be used as a neutral, trusted and verifiable method to reinstate trust back into this monetary system. Just because Russia and China both have large possessions of it, and also they have basically what the world needs as far as resources or manpower. What does the U.S. have? Military might that not too many people right now have confidence in just because of all this health stuff underway. I don't really think we have the fighting power, manpower. And on top of that, I was watching another video, and I'm pretty much everywhere right now, but getting ready to open up the phone lines in a minute because I'm sure you guys questions, thoughts, ideas. Feel free to bring it. But I was listening to another interview. Let me bring this up here. And it was from a former, just recently retired. Let me see if I can. It was a recently retired Marines or Army or something. And he was just talking about a part of why he got out was because of how. Let me see if I can. I probably won't be able to find it. I gotta go online and find it. But it was an interesting interview done by a YouTuber, and he's basically saying that you can get a real taste or a real viewpoint of what our military is like from the moment you pull up to not many, but the base he pulled up to, where it was like the amount of respect along with the way people carry themselves, shirts untucked, manicure and jewelry, long nails, and just stuff just like not ideal for the institution that the military in particular has been known for. He's like, it's a laughing stock more than something to take serious. And I'm thinking like, that's just, the entry point into one of the bases. And he said, when you get on, it's just leadership is gone. The newer generation of quote unquote leaders in our armed forces never been tested, never been tried, never. And here's another thing is, and I'll stop ranting on this, but he was saying that majority of the people, when it comes to training, most of the people are out of shape, and they've been so conditioned in using technology, whether it be GPS services and all the little gadgets or whatnot that the Army provides, that if they were to go out, as far as just basically using a regular map and using some of the basic things that you had to know 20 plus years ago, they have no clue how to do that. So he was saying that based upon the way that people they be using their cell phones while in combat training, and he was just clowning them. And I'm thinking like that to me just says it all, to where it's not the majority, but it's enough to where those are the people that's going to go fight for this country supposedly. And we really have confidence that they're going to be able to do that. That's just something worthwhile. James says, I retired from the Army in 1999. It was really bad in 1989. So yeah, so James, it's probably good to say that things are completely deteriorated right now, but that's here or there. So point is, when it comes to defending this home that we call United States of America, yeah, it might be a rude awakening for a lot of us. Anyway, I'm doing too much ranting. Let me just, for those, I'm curious to get your thoughts, hear what's going on. I want to do more interaction with the community directly and get your thoughts. And so let's jump into some phone lines and hear from you guys directly. So before I do that, I want to make sure I remind everybody Booyah Max, as well as 4Patriots. And with this cold front coming through, power, those are things that everybody in this community are well aware of, and hopefully have taken precautionary steps prior to, so that you're just not caught completely by surprise. And it's never too late. But then again, you never know. So anyway, listen to this brief information here, then we'll jump into the phone line. So have your questions ready, and then I would love to hear from you guys directly. Stay tuned. Here's a great opportunity for you to get your weight up. Let's face it, our purchasing power and our currency has been destroyed in real time. That's why I'm excited to tell you about my partnership with Booyah Max. Booyah Max will ship gold and silver directly to your door for you to hold at your home or in your own safe. To help you get started, I worked out a special offer with them. Get Booyah Max Silver Starter Kit at employee pricing. Just go to BooyahMax.com/RTD. This kit includes 5 of the most desirable silver products to invest in, including the American Silver Eagle and the Silver Australian Kangaroo. This offer is limited to 1 per household while supplies last, so get yours today and take advantage of this opportunity to get your weight up. Do you have backup power for emergencies? The power grid here in the U.S. is outdated, and at least 2/3 of the grid is 25 years older or more. That's why having your own solar power is more important than ever. With the Patriot Power Generator, you will never be without power. You can take it with you on the go or use it indoors, yet it's powerful enough for your phones, medical devices, or even your fridge. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com and use the code RTD to get 10% off your first purchase on anything in the store. That even includes the Patriot Power Generator. You'll also get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus free shipping on orders over $97, and a portion of every sale is donated to charities that support our veterans and their families. Just go to 4patriots.com, use code RTD to get 10% off. That's 4patriots.com, use code RTD to get yours today. All right, we are back. So yeah, as far as another prediction for 2023, I do believe that metals, as just commodities in general, will definitely fare well. I don't see any complete sell-offs in those spaces, just because a lot of people are going to be running for safety. And I think more people will come into the truth that metals have been and will be a good preservation tool on top of all the other opportunities in the energy space and things of that nature. So, all right, let's get to it, man. Let me get this phone line open. Curious to hear. All right, hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, it's Ed. How you doing, Mike?
Hey, doing good, my friend. What's on your mind?
Hey, I got a question for you. It's a biblical question. We've had 60, 70 million abortions in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
We promote gay agenda.
Mm-hmm.
We've taken God out of the schools and basically, tried to destroy the family,
Mm-hmm.
separate the family, which was done by the dollar devaluation, and women had to work, and the family's fallen apart the last 50, 60, 70 years.
Right.
Do you think it's possible that, I think our country was founded on God, Jesus Christ, and the religious movement at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that we became the greatest country in the world. We aren't now, we were, and we're blessed by God for our beliefs
Mm-hmm.
and our morals. Do you think it's possible that God has taken his hand off of that and that we could basically God has turned his back on us or even cursed us? Is that scriptural at all?
There's a verse comes to mind about ungodly leadership. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but basically there's no hope for a nation with an ungodly leader. And we don't have true leaders in this country. We have paid and bought for politicians, but as far as him taking his hand off of this country directly, I wouldn't say yes or no, but I would say that everything that's taking place, what our perception of it is, how bad it is, rather, it's all a part of a much bigger plan. You know that. Whether you know how all this ends because you're a man of faith. So, the steps to get to the end game of the tribulation time frame, these are just the steps that we go to until that event. So I'd imagine what we've seen now pales in comparison to what's coming in our future, just because they've chosen directly to serve the enemy. And so they're doing everything to honor their God, which is the God of this world. So I think we're right on course for what the Lord has already predetermined is going to end in a very good way for believers. But then again, for those who are unsaved and not born again, that's this is their go round right here. So, but I don't think he's took his hand off us directly. I think these are just things that have to play out just because this is part of the divine order.
Okay, well, you're you're assuming that we are in the end times then. I mean, things are happening. I mean, if I was in England or France in World War II, I'd say Hitler was the Antichrist. I mean, my boy was taking boy was taking over the world. He was killing Jews. Come on.
I would. I mean, I think if we look, we can find what we're looking for in any particular time. The end times is any time for anybody. Like the end times, literally, it's for people who don't wake up the next day. You know, but from a biblical standpoint, I'm more of the mindset that we are approaching time. We are definitely in perilous times, but then again, we're nowhere near the true revealing of the 7-year time frame that's referred to in the Bible. And so everything before that to me is just tremors leading up to that, because the body of Christ is still present. And that we're the ones that's kind of holding the true insanity back from becoming just rampant. So there's still good out here. There's light out here. And you know what I'm saying? When you're looking, you're talking, we are a light in this world. So because we're still here, things are not as bad as they're going to be when the light is removed.
Okay, so even if when things are going really bad, I mean, I realize some Christians are persecuted, and, you know, you can get into the whole pre-trib, you know, mid-trib and all that.
Right.
But, you know, a lot of people believe that the Christians that are beheaded are post-rapture Christians that get saved after the second coming of Christ. I don't want to go into all that, but I do believe that God, even in the turmoil that we could see in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, that God will still have his hand on his children, the true believers.
Correct.
And we may suffer, but, you know, he'll walk us through anything. But I think there's even a special protection for us from God.
Hey, I wouldn't doubt it. But then again, believe me, as a part of this faith, we are also called to suffer as well. So like there will be persecution and everything in between. It's a part of our faith. And so we're used to all peaches and cream, but true faith usually goes through some type of true struggle. And we, apart from the little struggles we have, you know, day-to-day life, we ain't really seen true persecution like they are, you know, for their faith in, you know, China or other places where Christians literally can't go outside and worship, can't speak out loud, can't have gatherings. That's a much different level of persecution than what we're experiencing over here. We still have choices over here, thank God. So, but, you know, time is telling, man, the clock is ticking.
Yeah, you know, with the turmoil, you know, the storms that are coming, you know, we just have to stay strong in our faith. And, you know, I believe God will protect us. There's so many verses in the Bible that talks about protection. And I know we will be persecuted, but I don't think we'll be slaughtered like they're going to be slaughtered during the Great Tribulation. Like
right. Yeah. So like this, yeah. Oh, man, time's doing a great. I mean, once the Antichrist is revealed, that's ultimately when the true decision must be made. Who will you stand for? You take the mark of the beast and you'll be in that system, or if you reject it, that's when more than likely your life comes to an end. But if it's done in his namesake for him, to honor the king, then that's a whole other story. That's true faith right there. That's the test of your faith, literally. So hey, appreciate you, man.
You ain't gonna take that credit card in your right hand.
Oh no, I can't do that. even though I don't think that, you know, the version that we're probably thinking of now is the real version, I'll opt out just because I don't want to participate in that stuff anyway. So I'm more the physical. I like to stay more in the physical realm.
Yeah, I had a young believer ask me, he says, why does it say your hand or your right hand or your forehead? And I said, well, you might not have a right head, but you damn sure better have a forehead.
That's a good point. Hey man, appreciate you calling, my friend.
All right, Mike. Hang in there, bro.
Yeah.
Bye.
Good stuff, man. All right, let's talk, people. What else we got here? So yeah, phone lines are open. We'd love to talk to you guys. What's on your mind? Any subject matter is fine and good. There's so much stuff going on. That's why I'd rather just hear from you guys, because there's power in numbers. So between 100 and some people, it's good to see. It's good to say everybody on here is keeping an eye on something. Something probably either bugs you more, or something that you're more in line with based upon your expertise or something like that you're keeping an eye on. That's when you bring it to the fold. And it'll be great to be able to find out what's on your radar. It's so sad. What else we got? Mark of the Beast. The U.S. fights. What else we got here? If we love long enough, we're at the door of World War III. Yeah, and it's just anything's possible, man. I personally like those all those events will probably take place, but then again, between now and then, I'm more so at this point like, okay, what can I do as far as why, my calling, my gift, and how can I help other people? Because I mean, we all gonna die. How we die, nobody knows exactly, but death is waiting for every one of us. So, what do we do in the meantime? How do we really get the most out of this life, enjoying this life, making a difference, making a mark, as I like to say? Anyway, it's inevitable. Let's get some. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Yeah, Mike, Steve, People Region 9.
Steve, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, not too much, buddy. Hey, and enjoy the holiday, too, just in case I forget to tell you there.
For you as well, my friend.
Hey, yeah, basically, yeah, and like you were talking to Ed about, God tells us to endure, etc. And I think we talked about this before. The United States is not exempt from Satan.
Right.
The United States is not exempt from Satan, and it's all over the place. With, like I said, with it on our money, the streets of Washington D.C. being laid out in a pentagram, the Pentagon is a pentagram. I mean, we could go on and on, and the Biden Baphomet Christmas.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you saw that.
Yeah, I did.
They have they have a freaking satanic symbol in their Christmas photo.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't even make this stuff up.
Right.
You just can't. So that kind of lets you know what we're about. Hopefully, if we're around at the end, we're around. If not, but like I said, the Bible does tell us that we are supposed to endure, and there are going to be Christians getting their heads cut off,
right?
For the testimony of God,
right?
And that's just one of those things where your rapture could happen any day,
right?
As they say, you
Very
can
true.
get hit by a bus or whatever it might be.
Right.
Hey, but anyway, that being said, I sent you that video on Biden turning us over to the WHO World Treaty in January, and that's another thing. That's satanic in itself. As far as I'm concerned, you're going to sign us over to unelected organization that's going to tell the whole world or whatever when to lock down, where you can go, what you can do.
Right.
That's next month.
Right. Good point.
Next month they're talking about doing.
Right. I got the video up here on Dr. James Thorpe on the proposed amendments to the WHO Treaty to eliminate individual human rights.
Exactly. So it's like you said, everything in the Bible is going to take place,
right.
And Satan is going to have his time, and
right.
It's quite obvious that we're seeing that. And let's say in the past, as you and Ed were discussing, when people thought, when Hitler was
right.
and even before then, way back, the technology was never available in place
right.
to do those things in the Bible
right.
until now.
Very good point. Very good point. And I think the blockchain and all that other stuff also just takes it even to an even higher level of capabilities for these people to try to use against us with robotics, artificial intelligence,
exactly.
Machine learning, you name it. So all that stuff right now is probably it's definitely going to be used as a part of that agenda. It's not going to be used to benefit humanity. We all know that. So
yeah. So are we in the end times? And let's just compare it. Let's just compare it to what other people have said in the past.
Right.
In 200 years ago, the technology was never available to do that and implement a buy or sell system until now.
Right.
So we're seeing that.
Yeah.
And the Bible's pretty clear that I forgot where it says it, but it says the generation sees this occurring shall not pass until all is complete, until all is fulfilled. So, I mean, it's sitting there in the Bible. I mean,
right.
I'm not gonna.
It's in the Word. It's in the Word. If you want it, go get it. It's in the Word. The Word has been around before. It's gonna be here after.
Yeah. The beginning from the end.
Right.
And it's just a matter of people just knowing that Jesus loves you. He doesn't want you. He doesn't want you to fail.
Right.
That's why he told you all of these things in advance, so you can know that these things are true and accept them as Lord and Savior, or else you can ride with the beast.
Eternity is a long time, my friend. Forever.
Eternity is a long time. What they say? It's a hell of a time.
Hey, man, appreciate you calling, my friend.
Hey, one other thing here. You're talking about the Texas, the weather and stuff. Yeah. They're going to pound Texas and Florida. There's no doubt. The powers that be. They just had an earthquake the other day down there in Texas.
I didn't hear about that one. Let me look that one up.
Yeah. They had an earthquake in Texas of 5.4 or something in Midland, Texas.
Okay.
Down there, so they're going to continue to pound those two states. So I took that off my relocation.
Your bug out place.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, like you're talking about the weather. I know everybody can afford it. I know that. I get it. But yeah, if people can, if you can afford to get the solar generators and stuff, do so.
Yeah.
You're going to need it.
Right.
You're going to need it at some point. So
very true.
So it's all good.
Hey, man.
That's all I have, my brother.
Appreciate you, my friend. Merry Christmas to you, boss.
Hey, Merry Christmas to everybody.
All right, be good.
Take care.
Yep.
Later.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, so I did see something out there that I wanted to mention. For those who are tuned in as well, definitely hit that thumbs up button. Show your support for the channel, and hopefully that helps with the algorithms, notify more people. It says, let me see here, something out here. There was something. Let me see if I can find it. It was a question. It was a statement that made a lot of sense. I may not be able to find it. Shoot. Let me go back. I don't see it. Anyway. All right. Let me get some more calls. Hello, caller. Where are we calling from?
Oh, calling from South Carolina.
South Carolina. What's going on, my friend? What's your name, if you don't mind?
Oh, yeah, I'm a second-time return caller. His name's John, or
John.
Nickname's Jonathan.
Appreciate you, John. What's going on with you?
And just to let you know, my background is I'm what you call a Messianic Jew, but
okay.
It kind of is a tough situation because I'm not really Christian or Jewish, right? But anyway, I identify with end time stuff, and that's really what I was trying to.
Okay, we got you.
I do believe in But I was wondering, and on this topic about end of times, apocalypse, and I think about this all the time. And I didn't know if you watched that interview with Steve St. Angelo. I'm a follower of the SRS Rocco. I actually paid a subscription. This guy's he's kind of changed my outlook on things, and he kind of shocked Mario quite a bit. And he has a whole different outlook. And I know there's so many different outlooks out there. And I just want to throw this one at you. I'm sure you've heard a lot of things.
Go ahead, give it to me.
But he's talking about the energy cliff. And he talks about the end of societies, the end of empires. People think Rome, they talk about the fall of Rome. And to me, there's some spiritual, and I don't really think Steve takes the spiritual or the biblical outlook on this, but I do. I kind of take his knowledge and look at different, everything from the morality of society to the ways, But this is about the end. It's so crazy because we say we have endless amounts of energy, but Rome, Italy, Greece, they actually at one time had very thick forests, and what really built their empire was the source of timber to make charcoal, to build to make metal and to build the just to fuel their basically their society all the modern innovations they had. And so but what really was one of the biggest challenges of Rome is that they actually cannot, even though there was energy sources, they couldn't extract them. And what we might be facing in America, and I've been looking at this deeply, and this guy has challenged. I've watched hours and hours of Palisade Radio, 4-hour, Twitter spaces, debates with very, very knowledgeable guys in the energy industry, and this guy has held quite a bit. And I know it's not what people want to hear. He's this guy's obviously Mario, and I know you, Mario, are pretty close. You got your show together, right? But yeah, the biggest thing is what this is going to culminate to is that we have energy, but there's this thing called energy return on investment,
right,
and it's depleting significantly. And these sources, even though we might have sources, we don't necessarily have enough energy to extract them, process them,
right,
market them. People don't understand about supply chains, about equipment. It actually takes significant diesel to actually, and this is one reason he's very bullish on gold and silver. It's a store of energy, and it's one currency that has lots of food. Anyway, but this could almost be just God. I say Elohim, God. I feel the coming of the Messiah. Who knows? Because our society, we might end up going to a different. Our society might come to a halt, and we might be forced to go back to, lose all the creature comforts and everything we've had, and be forced to turn to. I don't know. This is just a thought. I didn't want to say anything too controversial.
No, I get
just want
you.
to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no. So I do follow Steve San Angelo. I did not see that interview with Mario, but I am familiar with some of his graphs and basically mentioned about the return on energy for the cost of it is no longer feasible. So therefore, most of the most of the surface area energy and minerals is pretty much depleted. So the cost to go down even further is not ideal, meaning that there could be some energy issues in the future. I don't doubt that one bit. But one thing is, man has always been very innovative in the midst of crises. So when one thing shuts off, then usually something else comes in. And so it's usually in the midst of crisis that man usually finds, his true self, true meaning. So I wouldn't say that, society's going to completely come to a halt just because there's other options out there. There's, nuclear, there's, wind, solar. So there's other methods, may not be as viable or sustainable for long, but I think there'll be, I don't think all of the world will basically shut down is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So I do think there will be definitely some disruption of our creature comforts. That's already a given just because the currency, going to cause issues with that in the supply chain. So, but as far as, life coming to a complete halt due to a lack of, oil and natural gas, stuff like that, I wouldn't, bank on that per se, but I could be wrong.
They made a movie called Mad Max about that. That was the original one. You probably heard about that one.
Right.
But I know we also got the financial cliff coming too. That's another. There's different cliffs. This one would be pretty.
We got a couple cliffs to look out for. So, but in the meantime, I like to just focus on what I can control. All right, enjoy today while I still have today, and let the Lord handle the rest. Pray on the rest. That's what I'm gonna focus on. But man, I appreciate you calling, my friend.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for calling. Yeah, good stuff, man. Those are all possible scenarios. No energy, stuff comes to a halt. Mad Max type of scenario. We've thrown out stuff like that as well. But yeah, we all know things are changing. How bad they get, we don't know. Hope they don't get that bad. But in the meantime, change is here. We're already in the midst of change. Some better than others, but also with that negative change come positive opportunities as well. So it's all about how you see a thing will determine what it end up being for you. Hello, caller. Which name are you calling from?
Mike. It's Mike from Pacoima, California.
Mike, what's going on, my friend?
Speaking of the energy front, we're mentioning fission, but we're not mentioning fusion.
Fusion, right? Correct. And so
they for the first time ever, Mike, they violated the first law of thermodynamics and got more energy than they put in that they got out.
Right. Now, I saw that article. So I actually had an interview today.
Decades, though.
And I spoke with someone who's familiar with the fusion side of things. But how convenient that we get such a great discovery in the midst of the world turning its back on the petrodollar system. So my point is, I'd imagine this type of technology has probably been something that has already been possible, but then again, it just hasn't been, put out in the public just because they wanted to use oil as a primary way to strangle the world. So now that the world is moving away from the dollar petro system and they're going towards their version of how they're going to pay for that oil. We're coming out with some fusion energy type stuff to combat that. I just question why now.
The Fukushima scare has kind of died down too. So, and people are starting to realize that we do need something with vision, fusion, whatever have you. It has to be at that level because we can't burn these fossil fuels anymore.
Right.
But I was just saying with I'm trying to get them because I don't want to mix them up with the fusion. This new thing that happened, it literally violated the first law of thermodynamics, and it's not just like blasted everywhere. It should be a way bigger deal than it is. But once these technologies develop, they're going to need a lot of platinum to make this hydrogen. If you know anything about hydrogen, what is it? They use the platinum as a catalyst, I believe, and they pretty much they need platinum to make hydrogen.
Right.
So if we're going to be if we're going to be fusing hydrogen together to make helium, we're going to need a lot of hydrogen, right?
I guess I'm not a chemist. I don't know how all that plays out directly. So I'll take your word for it. But anyway, go like they say, get your weight up. So if you got platinum or palladium, you'll be the beneficiary. Go ahead.
I'm not a smart man, Mike, but I watch enough of these mining videos and resource videos and commodity videos and just I have enough knowledge rambling in my head to put pieces together,
right.
So I just thought I'd bring it up since we're talking about energy.
No,
right?
I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. Yes,
yeah.
I'm definitely curious to find out more about that as well. But I also had an interesting interview with Uranium Royalty today, talking about opportunities in that space. So I'm still trying to learn myself. So there'll be more information out on that as well for those who are interested. We're
definitely going to need that in the interim, to get us to the fusion point.
Yeah,
we still need that because we're people look at it like an energy cliff. You need to look at it more as an energy transition because there will be new and inventive technologies that people are going to work on because they have to.
Right.
It's a necessity. It's not a luxury. People problems get solved really fast under adversity.
Right. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Appreciate you, my friend. Thanks for calling.
Hey, take it easy. Keep your weight up, right?
Yeah,
have a good night.
Here.
Bye.
Good stuff. Mr. Call there. Charles, appreciate you, my friend. Charles Pruitt, appreciate you, my man, for being a blessing to the channel. Thank you very much. Thank you for your support. What else we got here? I see a lot of talk about Christmas as a pagan holiday. No doubt. And I that's where I tend not to go down that just because to me, Christmas is more symbolism as far as giving and spending time with family. That's the modern way that it's being used. Of course, I don't look at it as being a biblical date in reference to the time frame of the Messiah being born. No. And so I think the biggest thing is how it's been mistaken for a, what you're going to get me, what's in it for me type of time frame. But then again, that's more so us as parents having conditioned our kids along the way that there's a fat white guy in a red suit to come down the chimney. That type of Christmas. All right. Hello, caller. Where are you calling from?
Hey, Mike, it's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How's it going?
LBP, I'm doing good. How you doing, man?
Good. That was interesting what the last caller was talking about the fusion and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Basically, well, from my understanding, it's like they're trying to recreate a sun, turning helium back to hydrogen, back to helium.
Yeah. You know what? Go ahead.
From what I read, Mike, the missing component to that entire thing is the gravity from the sun. I don't think you could even replicate it on Earth because it's something to do with the huge gravity. Because the sun, he's been putting out energy since God created it.
Yeah.
I don't know. From what I see, I don't think they could reproduce that. Because you need all that gravity and you need something with that big of mass,
I don't know, man. But when you mentioned the sun, and I did see a video. This is not it, but China Here's an article here. It says China's artificial sun burns at 70 million degrees for 20 minutes in a new experiment 5 times hotter than the real sun. So there's actually a video surfacing where that experiment that they're talking about here from this article showed a yellow ball going up in the sky, 70 million degrees for 20 minutes. It's like, that to me sounds like some pretty serious heat as far as capabilities and technology. So China, they may have something on their side that can provide them with some energy type of stuff. So it's the race to see who can be God. That's what it boils down to, man.
Man, I've eaten some salsa a little hotter than that.
70 million degrees.
You come down here to South Texas, you get some salsa about
man, what is it called? What are Scoville units? I've seen some of them dang chips, man, where people do contests and they be breaking out in tears and sweating and fainting. Man, I'll be damned. Yeah. I don't like hot like that.
But I don't know, Mike. I don't know. I have to look more into it, you know. But you know, just what I've been hearing is it has something to do with the gravity, you know.
Yeah, well, we'll see. But I think all the articles that I've scanned through, they all mentioned that it's just the beginning phase. It's going to be a lot longer to be able to work all those kinks out. And between now and then, I mean, there's going to definitely be some disruptions, or hopefully, God forbid, some accidents where they end up, you know, causing more harm than good, trying to play God. So. Because if something go wrong, it could definitely be a problem for whatever area they're in if it's like that. So, but who knows, man? What else is going on with you down there, man?
Well, nothing. It's 50 degrees, Mike. Everybody's got like 10 jackets on down here.
now, so say if that Arctic blast or whatever comes through there and it gets down, you know, a lot colder. You know, what a type, you know, because I remember last year you said your oranges froze off the tree or something like that.
Oh, yeah, they all died, Mike. I don't know, like one time it froze. It has to be under freezing, about 20 degrees. It has to sustain it for like a full 48 hours. Mm-hmm. And then all your citrus dies, avocado dies, everything dies, you know?
Yeah. So hopefully
it's not cold more than 24 hours. We'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that, man, because we're going to have a little something up our way as well. But we're used to getting cold, but, you know, not, I guess this cold is coming here. So, but hopefully it doesn't come, or if it does, it's minor and it blows through and doesn't cause much damage. But I fear that Midwest down south, if it's a man-made event where they're trying to bring our way, they definitely going to try to bring the pain to the south. So that's to be expected, I think.
Yeah, I see. It's mostly on the Louisiana side. It's more like it looks like it's more Louisiana to Florida from what I saw on all the weather things.
Yeah. Well, hey, hopefully it stays that way and it's minimum, man. But appreciate you, man.
All right, Mike. Thanks for taking my call.
Be good, boss. Yep.
All right, bye.
All right, people. We had 57 minutes, man. Good stream today. Good stream today. Great to hear from a lot of people, and appreciate all the first-time callers. The goal is to get more interaction from everybody. Everybody, I'm sure, keeping an eye on something. So when we connect in the evenings, I definitely want to hear from you guys and keep us all plugged into what's happening in your neck of the woods, man. Well, anyway, back at it tomorrow. Same time, same place. Should be a good one. The goal is to hang out with the people, amongst the people in the talk show. So anyway, be blessed, be safe, continue to get your weight up, get your prayers up, do everything you need to do in your end. And when everything is all said and done, just put it in the Lord's hands and let him be him. Anyway, be blessed, people. Peace.